Hello, it's Heather. Today I'm going to show you how to paint a vignette background. A vignette background is going to be lighter in the middle and it's going to get darker towards the edges. So it's really easy. You just need a nice flat brush. You don't want to saturate your brush with water. In fact, I just keep mine dry. If you do have a wet brush, just make sure you dry it off really good on your paper towel. So what I like to do for the vignette background is start in the middle and then work my way out. So you want to grab your very lightest color that you want to use. So it might be white, or you might want to mix white with a little bit of your background color. So I'll just mix a little bit here. And the paints that I'm using are, for the blue, I'm using this Premier Acrylic Colors. It's not really expensive or anything, but it's nice thick paint. And it's a good quality. And then for the white, I'm just using Dick Blick, the Blick Acrylic, which is also a really good paint that's not super expensive. Okay, so I'm just mixing my white and my blue so that I get a nice light blue color that I want to use for the middle. So then for the middle, I'm just going to make like a little circle in the middle. And you want to make sure you blend it really good. So the more you brush over it, the more it's going to blend. And you can brush over it like up and down, side to side. But the important thing when you're doing this is you don't want to do little strokes like this. You're going to get a bunch of brush marks. You want the strokes to cover your whole painted area. So I pretty much have my little area right here. And if you notice, I didn't do a perfect circle, just kind of roughly a circle. So now I'm just going to take this color here, which is what I used for the center, and make it a teeny bit darker. So I'm just going to take a little bit of blue. I just have a little bit of blue on my corner here. This blue is actually really dark, so I'll take a little off. And then I'm just going to mix it with what I already have to make it a little bit darker. And then I also like to flip my brush just so I have it even on the brush, because otherwise I might have like dark on the left and light on the right. Of the brush stroke. So then I just kind of flip it just to get everything all even. Then I'm just going to paint around what I already did. And then, so the trick is that you want to blend this color with the lighter color. So what you would want to do after you apply your paint, so I pretty much got all the paint off my brush. So if you look at my brush strokes, they're pretty nice and clean. But if you do have extra paint on your brush, just wipe it off on your paper towel, dry. Don't dip your brush in the water. And then just take your brush and you just want to brush over the middle and the darker part. So you want to be brushing over both spots. So you're not just brushing over the dark or just the light. Your brush is actually on that middle line. And I'm actually going kind of hard, so it kind of depends on how much paint you have on your canvas. I don't have a ton of paint, so if I go very lightly, it's not going to do much. So just go lightly. If it doesn't do much, just go a little harder. And then just, you know, you kind of got to get a feel for it to see how hard you want to do it with your brush. If at some point it kind of stops blending, like actually right here it kind of stopped blending, it's because my paint has dried, especially the middle paint, because acrylic paint can dry pretty quickly. So then you would just want to get a little more of that light paint that's in the middle and just add a little bit there. And then you can get some more of this darker paint if that part's dried a little bit. And then I'm just going to very lightly brush over it. Okay, so now I'm just going to basically repeat the process until I've covered the whole canvas. So I'm going to get a little bit of the dark paint. See, I have a little corner, and I'm going to mix it with what I already have. And I may need to pull some more white if I've already used a good amount of it. But I just want to make sure it's a little bit darker than what I already have. So this is actually lighter, so I'm going to get a little more and mix it in, because I had to add more white. Alright, so now I'm going to go around it. And also the thing with this is you can kind of look at your color as you get it on the canvas too, because it might look a little bit different on the plate versus on the canvas. Like it might look a little bit darker or a little bit lighter. So then you can just kind of adjust it. Like maybe I want this a little darker, so I'll get a little bit more blue, mix it in, and just go right over what I had. So one thing when you're doing this is the way that you're brushing with your brush. So you don't want to have your brush like holding it the same way the whole time, and then you have skinny lines here, skinny here, and thick here. So that's not going to be good results. You want to rotate your brush, so you always want your brush to be at the same kind of angle towards the middle of the circle. So see how I'm doing thick strokes the whole time because I'm rotating it. And so you don't really, like, I would maybe go all the way around sometimes, but you don't have to. You could do, like how I'm doing right now, is just a letter C, and then after you're done with that, you can do the backwards C. So, you know, you're only rotating it kind of a little bit, because you may not be used to, you know, that movement with your wrist. So I'm just going to get a little more of this, and then I'll do this side. And when you're doing this, the important thing is to remember, like, it's not going to be perfect while you're doing it, and you'll probably need to adjust. But just as long as you know how to adjust, then you're good. Like, for example, right here, I have it way too dark, so I'm just going to kind of brush over it, blend that in. And then I'm going to lighten it a little bit, so I'll just get a little bit of white, and I'll just kind of add that in. And I don't want to start blending it with this spot until I know it's a good color. So I'm actually going to lighten it a little more. Okay, and then now I can start blending it because it's pretty much the right color now. And you can always get a little bit more white and kind of use that for blending if you've gotten a little too dark. Just kind of blend that out. So, so you may be doing a lot of adjusting in here, and that's okay. It doesn't need to be perfect. It's just a background, and you just got to kind of go with the flow. And you just have to be willing to adjust it, and just don't get, you know, frustrated if it doesn't match exactly, because it's probably not going to match exactly like every time. You know, you may need to go a little darker or a little lighter sometimes. Just got to be okay with it. Okay, so now we'll go a little darker, get a little more blue, mix it in with my white here, and kind of look at it. So it kind of looks like it's the same, but it might be a little darker. So let's try it. That's a little darker. So, but I think I might want to go a teeny bit darker than that, so I'll go like this. Yeah, that's good. And then, so I'm gonna do it in my new stroke area right here on the outside, not covering the inside yet, just overlapping it slightly. And then once I know that I have like all my paint off my brush, see how I'm extending it every time? And now I pretty much have all the paint off my brush. I know because I don't see any extra paint coming off my brush when I go to these edges. Now I can have my brush half over the light, half over the dark. And I'm just going to brush. And then as you can see, the inside did dry a little bit, so I'm just going to get a little bit of that similar color there. And I'll just go back over. There. So now I'll go ahead and finish up this left part. So let's mix a little bit more of that darker. And I'm going to go this way. So as you can see, we're starting to get pretty dark here. Make sure I get all my paint off my brush. Get it all onto the canvas. And then now I'm brushing over between, and again this part dried, so I'll just go right here with the lighter color, and then I'm just gonna, and now I'm just lightly brushing, because once you have like when you have a good amount of paint, then you just want to lightly brush. You only want to brush hard if you need to. Okay, so now we'll go a little bit darker. So let's see, both sides of the brush. And then now we're pretty much just kind of filling in the corners here. So I'm just going to go do mostly the part that's not painted yet. And then I'll just blend it in with what I already have. And this actually is too dark because this looks like stripes. Like a light, you can really see the light versus the dark. So I want it to blend. So I'm getting my lighter color, mixing a little white in with what I already have. And then I'm just going to go over it. So there we go. That blends nicely. And then I'll just go ahead and here, let me actually do this because I didn't cover my work surface at all. Okay, so there we go. So you're going to get better edges if you actually let your brush run off the edge, which is why I moved this paper towel over here, because you want your brush to like run off the edge, and that way it's going to look nice and smooth. You don't want to start your brush like here. It's not going to look nice and smooth if you do that. So there's that edge, and I can even make the edge a little bit darker too. So I just dipped my brush in that dark blue, and I'm just going to add a little bit of that dark blue on this corner here, just to make it get a little darker. So I'll just go ahead and finish up these corners. So as you can see, this one I kind of mixed it a little too light. So I'm just going to get a little more of that dark blue, and I'll mix a little bit of white in with it. And there we go. That's nice and dark. However, this transition is not looking too great, so I'm going to mix a little more white with what I have, make it a little lighter, and I'll go ahead and blend this with nice soft strokes. There. That looks good. And remember, you always want to do nice long strokes, edge to edge. So while you're putting the paint on, you can do short strokes, but then finish it off with your nice long strokes. So I do have a little dark part here, which I could keep because it does give it some nice character and interest. But just for the video, I'm just going to kind of cover it up like that so we have a good vignette here. So now I'm going to just rotate this, and I'll finish up these other two corners. So I got my dark here, and I'm just going to cover this corner. So I can put it on short strokes, and then to blend it out I want to do edge to edge. Okay, so there's that. That one actually blended pretty good with that middle part. Okay, so let's just do this little edge here. This part is probably going to need some blending because this doesn't, you can really see that transition. So I'll get a little bit of my lighter. So I just mixed a little white with what was already in my brush. And then I'm going right over it. Okay, last corner. Get a little blue and a little white. And let me mix it on the plate just so it's nice and mixed here. And then edge to edge, let my brush run off the edges so it's nice and smooth. And then also we can, for those other corners, I made them a little bit darker in the corner, so I'll do that here too. I just got a little bit of that dark blue. I didn't mix any white with it, and I'm just very lightly brushing it over just to add a little bit of dark there. So there we go. Alright, that's a little too dark, so let's add a little bit lighter here. And now there's also some things you can do to kind of make your vignette background look a little more interesting. So you can add some cool looking strokes in and stuff. So, this is like a basic vignette. And then I could also just get a little bit of white and kind of like cut in. So if I have my brush, so we were doing big strokes, and then if we turn it so we do little strokes, and I have my brush perfectly perpendicular to the canvas. So then I can kind of cut in and add these cool looking lines like this, and it just kind of makes it look a little more interesting. So, and you can experiment, kind of try it with some different colors too. So you can kind of just get your color on like this. And then, again, you want to wait till you don't have a lot of paint in your brush. You could even wipe your brush off on your paper towel. And then you can go ahead and like kind of finish it off, blend it in. So the more you brush over it, the more it's going to blend. You could just leave it like this, or you can go over it more, and you want to go in the same direction as the paint stroke. You don't want to go this way. Same direction. And then the other thing you can do is use your dark color. So, and basically do the same thing. So I'll do that on this side. See, so I got my dark strokes here. I'll wipe my brush off, get the extra paint off, and now I can brush over them again. And I still have my brush, you know, on the skinny end, or like the skinny way. I gotta look up the technical term. But anyways, I'm still kind of cutting in where I'm using like the hard end of the brush. So, see, so you can do that, you can do that. You know, kind of experiment with different stuff, and you can make it look a little more interesting. So that's all for today. I hope you liked this, and good luck with your vignette background. If you have any questions, you can leave them in the comments. And if you liked this, you can give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you want. Well, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.